Welcome to Unadilla. The Toyota AMA Motocross Championship presented by FMF continues in the Northeast. We're in New Berlin, New York for the FMF Pro Motocross National presented by Scott USA. It is round 6. We're just at the halfway mark of the season. I'm Brian Dreber, along with David Pingree in the booth, Aaron Bates out on the racetrack, and lots of rowdy Unadilla fans have taken their places on a hot, humid Sunday afternoon.
The track, as you can see, this is one of the trademarks of Unadilla. Green grass down the starting line, but it wasn't that way yesterday. It was muddy, cloudy skies, heavy rain. The track was a mess, but these guys have gone to work, plowed it up deep, trying to get some of that moisture out of it. And with the sun out here Sunday morning, it could be a great day of racing.
Ricky Carmichael's chances of picking up another win here this weekend are pretty good, but this is a place he's made no secret it's not his favorite.
No, I mean, as you can see on the back of his pants, you know Dilla. He doesn't want to have to come back here after this year. This is a clip from last year after he had caught James, made a pass, and James tried to cross the line to make a pass back and hit him. Ricky's yelling at him, but he's taking a nap. Ricky just throws his bike on top of him and takes off. Still gets second in the moto.
Another look at it there. James Stewart bouncing off the ground pretty hard. Carmichael up and gesturing to him. James Stewart's problems continue here this year. The number 7 bike is parked and likely will not take part in the moto here today.
Yeah, he came into the second turn here. It's a right-hander. You see him laying there and got a little swap going and got spit off. It's high speed. You can see the dirt's very deep there. I don't know if he just tucked the front end into some heavy dirt. But anyway, you can see him sitting on the ground, shaking his head. He obviously hit his head a little bit. And he's sore, at least, if not confused as to where he's at.
Well, all of his limbs working properly as he walks back to the bike. The mechanics checked it out. He was able to kickstart it, get going again, but still shaking his head. James Stewart not quite 100%, and the choice was made for him not to race. We'll hear from team manager Mike Fisher.
Yeah, Dr. Augustine checked him out just based on the stiffness of his body, his neck. His neck's a little stiff, I think his shoulder, his hand, his ankle, his knee. We don't know, what's wrong yet, but it's so stiff that he really can't ride. We, of course, support his decision not to ride, and we want him to be healthy when he can go race to win, so there's no reason to ride like that.
So James Stewart will not ride. Chad Reed also with a practice crash. He sits second in points behind Ricky Carmichael, who has such a huge lead. Here's Aaron Bates with more.
Unadilla has always been known for its naturally preserved terrain and these big, sharp rocks that have lost championship hopes in the past with injuries such as broken fingers. That's why you're going to be seeing a lot of these guys wearing chest protectors and hand guards. The promoter, the Robinson family, have made some significant changes here over the last year, adding corners, taking out corners, bringing in so much dirt that they actually don't know how many thousands of yards of dirt that they brought in. But the biggest change is that they've sifted through the entire track, screening out these massive rocks. Majority of the rocks are now gone, making all-around improvements here on the track and making this track just a little bit safer for these guys.
Well, they did do a lot of work taking out rocks, but you're not going to get them all out. I mean, there's a lot of rocks in this soil, but those efforts that they made are certainly appreciated by everybody, I'm sure.
Practice crash for Ricky Carmichael as well, but without the serious effects to those of Bubba Stewart and to a lesser degree Chad Reed. So our top 3 contenders all tipping over in practice. Carmichael coming out of it the best of the bunch.
Yeah, and Reed actually in practice twisted his knee pretty bad. He was maybe debating not racing, decided to go ahead and he's going to tough it out. But he tweaked his knee a little bit, and so he's going to struggle through the day, that's for sure.
Looking at practice on a number of different riders there. Michael Byrne, the number 26 machine, in action out here. As we take a look at practice times, Carmichael and Stewart atop the charts with Travis Preston. But how about Michael Byrne in 5th?
Coming back off the injury for the rest of the season, I just want to, try and get in there and get in the battle with these people. And I've been watching it on TV, and it's been a little boring sometimes. So hopefully I can, get in there and make it a little bit more exciting for everyone to watch.
Well, it should be exciting as we take a look at the starting gate here and our way up to number 26, Michael Byrne on his Kawasaki. There's Chad Reed, and the look of concern on his face may be because he's a little sore as well.
It's tough to ride with injury. That's definitely part of motocross. Byrne, of course, messed his thumb up pretty bad. That's a tough injury to come back from because you've got to have such strong hands to hold on to these bikes for 40 minutes. And of course, it's going to take him quite a bit of time to get that strength back in his thumb and be able to hold on. But Reed, he's got the bum knee, so that's going to be tough to stick out in corners.
Our Honda starting grid: Carmichael, Reed, Kevin Windham, K-Dub, showing us some signs of real improvement there in his season. As we look back through the rest of the starting grid, 40 riders will take the gates here, and it's always a funnel down to turn number 1. That's the part we think is among the most exciting for the fans here, and it's about to happen. The gates are up, and the gates are down. Off they go. Who's going to get the whole shot, and more importantly, who will get the lead here on lap number 1 as they come around the corner? It is going to be the red bike, and I believe that is
Davey Millsaps.
Davey Millsaps. Wow, what a great start for the 118 Millsaps on his Honda. And Carmichael in second position right behind him. And Chad Reed third. Injury and all. 2 of our top 3 contenders up there among the top 3 on the racetrack right now. Millsaps, the youngster who has podiumed a few times already this season. Michael Byrne with a good start there. 5th fastest in practice, 4th on the track right now.
I think I see Nick Way in 5th as well, so a lot of the top guys are already right up front. This could be a great ride for Millsaps. He hasn't had a whole shot yet, I don't think, this season, and I think Honda and Davey himself have to be stoked with his results in the motocross class so far.
Well, we'll see if he can stand the pressure from Ricky Carmichael, who's behind him. There is Nick Way, indeed, in 5th position, as you said. And up front, it is Millsaps already coming under pressure and being passed. No, not quite. Millsaps holding off the number 4 Suzuki of Ricky Carmichael for the time being, taking very different lines through that part of the racetrack. Carmichael working on him and trying to stay out of the Roost and Rocks here at Unadilla.
I think Davey knows at this point there's not a whole lot of point in trying to keep Ricky behind you. He's probably going to make his way by. In fact, Davey might be smart here to let him by and follow his lines and try to learn some things from him. I mean, the chances of him keeping Ricky behind him for 40 minutes, not very good.
They would probably waver somewhere between slim and none, but Ricky Carmichael taking his time to get around the youngster Davey Millsaps on the 118 Honda. Millsaps, then Carmichael looking very relaxed and patient. Chad Reed behind him does not seem to be much of an issue. Carmichael's gaining on the 22 Yamaha while he's just stalking Millsaps, the leader.
We talked about practice lap times earlier. When you go back and look, these guys, first thing they do after practice is jump in the truck and look at the results. And you see that Ricky Carmichael's, in this case, he was 7 seconds a lap faster than Michael Byrne. I mean, 7 seconds a lap, that adds up by the end of the moto, and that's tough to swallow. In fact, I was talking to Nick Way about that this week, and he's just getting frustrated that he can't cut that gap down. It was 10 seconds one weekend, he's cut it to maybe 8, but he's like, man, 8 seconds a lap. He's like, where do I find that? So Ricky's definitely frustrating a lot of guys. He's just one of those superhuman riders that come along once in a while and do things that just don't seem possible.
Until the next guy like Ricky Carmichael comes along and makes what was impossible very possible again. Carmichael did it, and it will be done to him as well. K-Dub, Kevin Windham up into 5th position around Nick Way. Now he's stalking behind the 26 of Michael Byrne. This is 4th and 5th place on the racetrack right now. And Windham looking good as the motocross season gets in towards the second half.
He's had a little bit of struggle with his starts this year, and again today, wasn't in the top 5 right off the start. He's obviously worked up there quick, but if he can start with these guys, he can definitely run, maybe not quite the pace of Ricky, but certainly anyone else out there today.
Davey Millsaps moved up to the big bike, the CRF 450R here in the motocross class. There goes Ricky Carmichael around Millsaps.
Watch Ricky's line here too. He jumps, well, he didn't do it that time. He's jumping up over the top of that tabletop. Different than anyone else is doing. I haven't seen anyone do that all day.
Millsaps, the youngster on the factory Honda team, carrying the banner so far in the early part of the season for the Big Red Machine. And Kevin Windham, though, starting to come into his own here later on. Now Millsaps, he's all in the roost there. You could see just ducking his visor down, trying to keep from getting hit in the face with dirt and rocks.
If you want to know what that's like, have your buddy get a shovel full of gravel and then just throw it right in your face. That's kind of what Davey Millsaps just got right there. And if you're riding behind any one of these guys, that's what it's going to feel like all day long.
So Ricky Carmichael in the lead. Michael Byrne trying to hold off Kevin Windham right now. 4th and 5th positions on the track. Windham, too, trying to stay out of that roost, coming off the back of the Kawasaki of Byrne.
And these guys definitely make adjustments for Unadilla, as Aaron mentioned earlier, the hand guards, the chest protectors, but they also run nose guards on their goggles. They'll also use a lot more protection on the bike. They add the guards down further on the radiator, engine cover, case covers, fork guards, anything to protect the bike, even the header pipe that comes out of the engine. Those rocks can just smash that stuff flat. So they take a lot of extra precautions here. The mechanics, very meticulous, going over the bike and making sure nothing's vulnerable, leaving those guys with a DNF.
Well, you can see almost a sense of desperation in a rider trying to pass another one. He's thinking to himself, the closer I get, the worse this is. I need to get around this guy. Take another look at Ricky Carmichael and Davey Millsaps here a little earlier.
You see Ricky go wide and set it up, and then he just scrubs that jump, lays the bike flat, tries to stay a little lower, stays on the gas all the way off, and gets the inside for the next turn. That was a great pass.
And how he got the lead. Here are Byrne and Windham again. 4th and 5th positions, getting closer to 3rd. Windham taking a very different line than Michael Byrne, but still working on trying to get around him. Chad Reed's the one just in front. There he goes. Byrne and Windham side by side. Mike Byrne holding him off for the moment. Windham's got position on this inside. They both fall into the same rut, and the position changes just like that.
And there you see Windham use the same line Ricky was using, actually hopped through those whoops and then jumped up on top of that tabletop so he didn't shoot up in the air.
Michael Byrne trying to recapture the number 4 position. Our Toyota leaderboard shows you the top 8 all the way down to Tim Ferry. The 2006 AMA Toyota Motocross Championships are brought to you by Toyota, proud sponsor of AMA Motocross. Toyota, moving forward. By Suzuki, lightweight, superior power, incredible handling. It's why champions choose Suzuki. By Progressive Direct, don't go underprotected. Get a dirt bike insurance quote at progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. Moto 1, the big class, and Goose telling Ricky Carmichael he's got was that a 22-second advantage? Well, yes, very leisurely. The next mechanic goes over to signal.
Yeah, he gives them lap times. When Ricky doesn't have anyone to race physically, he's racing the clock. That's the way they do it at home. Sarge, as they call her, Jeannie Carmichael, she doesn't allow him to just spin laps and do his certain number of laps and be done. Everything is against a clock, and if he starts dropping, she gives him an earful.
Well, Ricky Carmichael out here at Unadilla doing what he does at home. There's Kevin Windham now making a move on Chad Reed. Reed riding a little bit beat up. So Kevin Windham, who's coming off of injury, which is quite a bit in the past, racing against Chad Reed, who was injured just in practice.
And here you see in the replay, Windham's great at setting up passes. A pass doesn't just happen. Here he comes around the outside in that turn, which sets him up for the inside in the next corner. He just comes in, blocks Reed's line. Reed's not going to really fight him. He's riding with an injured knee, and he's had to actually do that this year before. At Daytona, he hurt his shoulder. Daytona is obviously the toughest supercross track of the series, and he got it out a great ride there as well. So he's had to really work through some pain this year, and today he's going to earn his paycheck.
Tim Ferry rounding out the top 8, and he's in the middle of a real battle as the number 12 David Villeman, 5th through 8th position, and this is a nice 4-way fight.
Timmy Ferry's been impressive since this last 4 or 5 races since he came back from injury. He struggled for a long time with his wrist, but he's been a solid top 5 guy now with the Moto XXX Honda team, and he's riding a battle here for, again, that spot, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Villeman in 6th, Byrne 7th. Behind them, Timmy Ferry on the number 15 machine is 8th. And Nick Way up in front of all of them in 5th position. Way, who had been as high as 3rd early in the race. There's Nick going around the outside, trying to make something happen on Byrne. He's got a great drive off the corner, pulls up alongside, and then just kind of puffed out a little bit there. Here he comes again.
That's the turn right there where James Stewart went down in practice. You're coming into that thing, it's a little bit off camber, you got a lot of speed, there's big braking bumps, and you're trying to turn up a little bit of a hill, so it's easy to see how a guy could go down. Here you see Ferry swing around the outside. Byrne looks over, he knows he's got the inside on him, but Byrne can carry more momentum into that turn because he's on the outside. Ferry doesn't let him do it. He gets in there and blocks his line.
Well, Timmy Ferry taking over the spot, at least for the time being. Villeman now on the number 12 machine in 6th position. Ferry behind him 7th. And working on the number 12 Yamaha. Nick Way on the 27, just in front of them, just in front of Villeman. And here's Ricky Carmichael, your leader. Very little for company at this point. James Stewart out of the race. Chad Reed riding hurt and losing spots. So Carmichael's just out front doing what Ricky Carmichael does best.
Yeah, this guy's he's become one of those enigmas. I mean, how does a guy get that much faster? It's I don't think any of these guys have the answer. In bench racing, guys will sit around and talk about what it is. Is it his heart, his fitness, just natural talent? I think it's a combination of all that. I don't think anyone will ever have a specific answer to that. What makes him so much better? You know, it's like how they build the Egyptian pyramids, or why your pea smells funny when you eat asparagus. I don't think anybody knows.
Well, two analogies I might not have come up with on my own, but I'll take them every bit of it too. As some very interested parties continue to look on here, Ricky Carmichael leads. There are battles all over the racetrack here at Unadilla, and this is only moto number 1. We get to do this twice today. Tim Ferry trying to make some move on Villeman there. Is up in front of them is Nick Way. Ferry gets by, so Timmy Ferry on the number 15 gets by Villeman on the 12 Yamaha. Now goes after Nick Way. This again is 5th, 6th now for Ferry, 7th for Villeman, and 8th is Michael Byrne.
Ferry's the guy on the move right now here. You know, a lot of times when you've been off, it gives you a little more drive and makes you want to work harder.
Our Toyota leaderboard reflects the difference. Moto 1, Ricky Carmichael still leads, getting into a little bit of traffic right now on his number 4 Makita Suzuki. And he has just gotten out in front. David Pingree, we're used to seeing this, and without any real challenge, it'll probably go like this all the way to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and as those girls said, he is number 1, and this is what he does best. And with James out, unfortunately, not a lot of guys that can run Ricky's pace right now, so he's checking out.
Nick Way and Timmy Ferry running each other's pace quite well here. Way on the 27 Honda, and the number 15, Timmy Ferry, also on a Honda. Ferry inside, contact just tips Nick Way right over. That was a induced high side.
Well, he ran it in hot. What do you say? I mean, those guys might argue about that a little bit later. Nick might say it was a little much. Timmy might say, hey, I was inside of you.
Another look at it. You be the judge at home. Pingree, tell us what's going on here.
Well, Nick's dropping into that line, and Timmy just kind of brings it in hot. You know, it's marginal, but I don't know. Nick might have done the same thing. They're racing for a top 5 spot here. That's kind of what happens. The bummer is Nick's already leaned over, so when Timmy comes in, his fork leg actually bumps Nick in the shoulder. You know, that could have been a little dangerous. His foot's out there, but looks like Nick jumped up. No problem. No harm done.
Ricky Carmichael going around Heath Voss on the number 13 machine. Voss is going to go a lap down. Carmichael just having his own way with it out there. Unadilla or not, he doesn't like this place and has made no secret of it, but it works.
Yeah, he says he hates it, but he's actually he's killed it here. I think 7 times he's won here, or something ridiculous like that. I mean, I think he's got a better track record here than Bob Hanna or anyone else. So.
White flag is out. Final lap, moto number 1 for Ricky Carmichael, dealing with traffic only. Here's Kevin Windham, who has secured 3rd place all by himself. Goes for a tear-off in the air. Probably the best place to do that big jump. Kevin Windham running in 3rd spot. In 2nd, it's Millsaps, who is 40 seconds behind Carmichael. Windham a little further back.
Well, like I said, we talked about lap times. You know, when it's 5 and 6 seconds a lap that you're slower than Ricky Carmichael, at the end of 35 minutes, that adds up, and it's added up to 40 seconds at this point.
There is Davey Millsaps, who got the whole shot, led early. Carmichael passed him inevitably, even we said. And now Millsaps holding on well in 2nd position. This will be his best finish for the year. It's
a great ride for Davey. And it's too bad that James got hurt. You know, it's like I said, he enjoys this track. Ricky doesn't. Maybe those two would have had a great battle, but the big concern has to be James, and you saw him sitting there on the track kind of looking like he wasn't sure where he was at, and you've got to be concerned with how many times he's hit his head over the last couple years. The crash he had here last year with Ricky, his Las Vegas Supercross crash, his High Point crash, his Southwick crash. I mean, all of those. The brain is not a good thing to be bruising and injuring, and you know, you can ask Travis Pastrana about this. I think that's something he regrets is getting all those concussions.
Well, it's always a concern, and why the riders wear the best protection possible, but nothing can protect you entirely from going from 45 or 50 miles an hour, however fast he's going right here. You come off a jump wrong and dart yourself into the ground, you're going to come to a complete stop in a very short amount of time, and it's difficult to keep yourself from being injured. But Ricky Carmichael doing the best that he can not to fall down and to pick up a win here in Moto number 1. Doing a pretty good job of it. Just picking his way through traffic. Of course, the lap riders are getting signaled by the course workers that the leader is on his way, and that leader is Ricky Carmichael. Final lap here, Moto number 1 at Unadilla. On cruise control, Ricky Carmichael in the Makita Suzuki, far and away the points leader, and apparently on his way to yet another outdoor motocross championship in a season that started out looking very much as though he would be chasing the championship points leader.
Well, he's just having fun now, kind of looking around, whipping his bike out a little bit for photographers, one-handers.
And Ricky Carmichael with just a few turns to go till he gets to the checkered flag. He'll take it nice and easy on his way. And there it is. Ricky Carmichael officially wins Moto number 1 at Unadilla. Ricky Carmichael talking over Moto number 1 after coming home a winner in that one with the rest of his team, Roger DeCoster. Here are the results, our Suzuki results. Carmichael on a Suzuki takes it over Davey Millsaps and Kevin Windham. As we look at the rest of the results going all the way down, first we'll hear from third place finisher Kevin Windham with Aaron Bates.
Well, Unadilla has been good to him in the past, taking a win in 03. K-Dub, this track has changed significantly this year, but the one thing that has remained the same is it's very one-lined. You seem as though you're very creative on making some lines out there.
I was trying my best. It was very difficult. I was eating a lot of dirt, a lot of rocks. This place is infamous for breaking fingers and all kind of bones. So kind of just tried to pick and choose, but man, I was getting so much dirt in my mouth, and I was really having a hard time keeping my mouth closed and being able to breathe through my nose. It's so hot out here today, and you kind of start doing the mouth breathing, just trying to get enough oxygen, and every time my mouth was open, it seemed like I was eating a bunch of dirt.
Yeah, I came out, and after Redwood, I actually went to Havasu, and I came home and I rode, and I like this track, and it's all right today. It's not as the greatest it's always been, but I'm just glad to be up here for sure. The whole shot.
And speaking of the whole shot, it was Davey Millsaps who earned the honors, coming from about third or fourth back, had the line, crossed the stripe, picked up the bonus, and led the race for a while until this man took over.
Ricky Carmichael making it happen once again. Ricky, both your lead contenders went down pretty hard in practice. James obviously not riding the first moto, and Chad not racing up to his fullest potential. Were you shocked to see Davey Millsaps out in front?
Yeah, and you know what? He's a good rider. He's got a lot of talent, and he was riding really good, taking some good lines and crisscrossing, and really seemed like he was on it. So, it doesn't surprise me, all these young guys coming up.
Now, you're always the guy that's sort of reserved about being vocal about certain things, but you're definitely vocal about your dislike for this track, and you even have on the back of your pants, Unadilla. What's that stand for?
You know what? This hasn't been my favorite place. So one thing I'm going to miss about this place is the fans. They've been so awesome to me here, and you know what? I'm really going to miss them more than I am the track, and it's a shame. But you know what? Hey, I just like to thank them for the great support that they've given me.
Congratulations on yet another moto win.
Thank you.
Of course, Ricky Carmichael has said that in his semi-retirement, he will not race in Unadilla. Nobody does more to protect your right to ride than the American Motorcyclist Association. Every racer on the track is an AMA member, so how about you? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA writes riding and racing. And with that, let's go to a feature we like a lot, Into the Mind, a little send-off for The Rock, Mike LaRocco.
Hi, I'm here standing here with Mike LaRocco. Hello! From Indiana, Super Hoosier Dome.
I don't have a problem sneaking out the back door. I'm not the guy that needs a bunch of attention for all that. I didn't, however, want to end, the day I announced my retirement with an injury, and be done for the season. That sucked, basically. My dad always told me that the first year I turned pro to treat it like a job, and I did, and I'm retired at 35, and I got to be happy that I put my head down for 20 years and got myself in this position.
And there it is. Mike LaRocco is the 1993 500cc national champ.
I didn't meet all my goals, but if you ask me what my goals were before I started. I would have never guessed that I got this out of, you know, everything I have and learned from motorcycling. So I got no regrets. No, early in my career, I was a lot different. You know, when I was winning, I mean, I was really focused and I just didn't really want to deal with anything other than racing. You know, and as I got older, I realized that my position was more broad than just a racer, and you know, I kind of got better at it. I think everybody thinks I'm grumpy, but it's funny. Watch when I relax my face. You know, I just look grumpy. So it's just you know, I'm easygoing and just a normal guy. I think everybody is intimidated, you know, maybe because of my past, or you know, I used to be really aggressive or whatever reason. My unique quality was probably the fact that I couldn't get started for about 15 years. That was probably unique in my book. But the things that worked for me was counting on everybody else getting tired. I think people learned from that. You know, and when Ricky came up, he was fast and, you know, able to run the distance. So I think things just evolved, you know, and I think I was there at a good time. There's so many things that I learned from my career. It's hard to know what I would have learned elsewhere or on my own, or if it's just something I was born with, but it just seemed like, you know, I learned, you know, everything. You know, the hard work pays off, and, you know, respect, and you know, just you get to see so much by traveling. It just seems very, you know, I feel very well-rounded from being a part of it.
Well, it's so long for retired Mike LaRocco, former winner and champion here at Unadilla. Fans enjoying a quiet moment here before Moto number 2 fires up, with Ricky Carmichael having won the first one in convincing style. Will we see more of the same? Well, it's hard to say. Meanwhile, Chad Reed getting ready to go for Moto number 2, and Aaron Bates is right there with him.
Chad, you went down and practiced super hard, injury in your knee. How you feeling?
Not good. Just try to get some points, and man, I hate being the tough guy, but I gotta just try to do what I can.
Get out there, salvage some points. Good luck.
Well, Reed climbs right on his bike, and with some discomfort and pain, he'll be able to try to tough it out here as we take a look at the Honda starting lineup. For Moto number 2, Carmichael, Millsaps, and Wyndham 1, 2, 3. That's the way they'll start. The rest of the field will line up as best they can. Otherwise, all the way down to 40 riders. Ping, this second moto, more of the same, or we're going to see a little something different?
Well, maybe Reedy can get a better jump out of the gate. I mean, we know his bladder's empty because he was just zipping up there as Aaron walked up.
And the gates are down and dropped. Let's see who gets the whole shot here. We see Davey Millsaps again around the outside. I think it worked. They say lightning doesn't strike twice, but Millsaps and Wyndham won 2 that time.
K-Dub finally got a good start. That's awesome.
And on board with number 16, John Dowd, the great veteran, carrying our Jones cam.
Watch the rocks fly at him. I mean, you can see literally not only the dirt clods, but rocks coming and whipping right by that camera.
So a great shot. Owl took one right in the mug right there as he's riding along behind the number 587 Dustin Kendall and the rest of the field there. So John Dowd carrying a camera for us, showing us what it's like there in the being pelted by rocks. Davey Millsaps and Kevin Wyndham, 2 Hondas out in front. Where is Ricky Carmichael?
Well, right there. Unfortunately for those guys, he is right there on their tail. So see how long they can keep him back there.
The number 4 Carmichael on the yellow Suzuki. Millsaps and Wyndham having a little battle up front. Carmichael 1 foot off the pegs, trying to hold his balance. And Davey Millsaps with 2 good starts, but now it's going to be fun to see what K-Dub can do running from up front.
He glances over, sees Carmichael coming by, doesn't really fight him on that one.
So Ricky gets by Kevin Wyndham for second. And now he's going to go after Davey Millsaps, which he had to do in Moto number 1 as well.
And Ricky had the inside line there on Kevin. There wasn't a lot he could do anyway, but like I said in the first moto, you're almost better off when you know he's that much quicker. You're better off just following him. See if you can take a couple seconds off your lap time by picking up on what Ricky's doing. So Kevin's probably following him close, watching what his lines are, where he's missing bumps, getting around deep ruts, and he's going to try to just imitate it.
All the same things that John Dowd is trying to do here, race for position while getting pelted by Unadilla dirt and rocks. Fascinating view here. Just giving you a little bit of an idea what these riders have to go through in virtually any national motocross.
Well, Damon Bradshaw used to be one of my favorite riders when I was a younger kid, and something he said always stuck with me. He never wore a chest protector, not here at Unadilla, not anywhere. He said that the rocks and the roost hitting him hurt so bad it would just make him mad, and he wanted to pass the guy in front of him so bad because the roost hurt. And I don't know, you got to be a special breed to think that way. I'd just start whimpering.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can relate to the concept, but not to the reality of riding through that kind of pain.
Yeah, it sounds good back in the pits, but when you get out there and start getting hit with those rocks, I don't know.
Davey Millsaps, nobody pelting him with rocks. He's out in front right now. Carmichael is doing the best he can to find a way to get close enough to make a pass. Having to use those different lines. Millsaps on the inside, Carmichael outside, crosses over briefly through the roost and keeps going through the mechanic signal area. Davey Millsaps on the factory Honda out front.
These guys still adjusting to the new lines. You know, between motos, you've had a lights class moto. Lines have changed. Lines that were working for these guys in the first moto, particularly a track like Unadilla where the dirt's soft. It's a rut that's good for one moto. Maybe by even the end of that moto has changed. It's too deep. It's got holes in it. So these guys are still looking for lines that are working better now. You see Ricky going outside, inside, trying to change it up. Earlier in the motor, he was going real wide. Now he's going to the far right side of the track there. So these guys have to sort of relearn the track when they go out. Even though they get a sight lap, when you're in a race situation and you've got to switch lines up, you got to look for something that works.
Ricky Carmichael, the new leader, making the pass on Millsaps a couple of turns ago there. Is he able to make it stick? He did in moto number one. Once he got by, Millsaps really did not challenge, and Carmichael pulled away, we already know, to a 40-second advantage. So he made the pass look pretty easy, but David, why is it so hard to fight back once somebody passes you like that?
Well, for one, the roost and these rocks. For two, it's Ricky Carmichael. I mean, but by the time he goes by you, he's got what's he already got, a 4-second lead on Millsaps? He just passed him. So, I don't know, the guy's just so quick, it's hard, but you can't even retaliate. You see, he just charges so hard. He shakes his head a little bit there, but they've got his setup working great, and they made some changes back at Redbud that made all the difference in the world to Ricky. He's so much more comfortable on that bike now, and yeah, that little stick in the mud there would have sent most guys over the bars. Ricky's just strong enough that he just pushes through it.
Antonio Baldi Jr. on the number 965, a three-digit number almost at 1,000, but this Brazilian rider is really showing some impressive speed here in the AMA Motocross Series. Battling with Timmy Ferry on the number 15. Through the dirt, through the rocks, Baldi holding off Ferry right now. Tim Ferry trying to come around the outside to the inside on this turn. John Dowd still carrying the camera, which has taken a few hits of its own.
I'm surprised the lens of that camera isn't shattered at this point. I think they've gotten lucky there, but you can get an idea of just how rough this track is. You see the helmet shaking around. That's how much his head's moving. You can't even hardly see out of the thing anymore, but that's what his goggles look like as well. He's got tear-offs that he's got to keep pulling off to keep clear vision, but non-stop rocks and debris flying at you.
Up once again to the battle for fourth position, Antonio Jorge Balbi Jr. from Brazil, holding off Timmy Ferry for the time being. Ferry comes by on the gas. Balbi crosses back underneath, but cannot repass Ferry, so that was a nice move by Tim Ferry.
Now right there where that left-hand turn is, the track used to go straight up the hill, make a U-turn, drop back down, and then catch back up to this sweeper, and that's where last year James Stewart jumped on top of Ricky Carmichael. They took it out. Maybe it was because of that crash, but I think a lot of these guys are not real happy about it. It makes that turn very one line, whereas before you could get to the top of that hill and square up, and it gave you a lot more options coming down the hill. Another reason that maybe they took it out, it allowed spectators to get up on that hill and look down, but I'm sure that crash with James and Ricky last year had something to do with it.
Chad Reed toughing it out here, running in fourth spot. We'll be back. Moto number 2 at Unadilla, looking a lot like the first one, with Ricky Carmichael enjoying a huge lead. Not quite as big as in Moto number 1 just yet here, because a couple of guys are still hanging on. Davey Millsaps has him in sight, but he's got his hands full too.
K-Dub's all over him. Gets him, goes by.
Kevin Windham making the pass, but Millsaps comes back underneath. And with a tighter line and a good control of his bike, retakes the number 2 spot. Kevin Windham up the hill. They're looking at each other right now and probably having a lot of fun. 2 Honda teammates.
Now Kevin's got the inside. He's going to get him back here. Davey squares it up, but Kevin holds the line.
Windham riding for the Sobe Honda team, and Millsaps on the factory Honda number 1 at 118. So Kevin Windham getting the best of it now over the youngster, the great veteran Kevin Windham on the 14 bike.
And Windham rides for the Factory Connection team, but his bike is a factory Honda race bike. They supply the engines and all the components and things, so still got a great machine.
Here's John Dowd showing us as the sun begins to go down a little bit that not only do you have dirt and rocks to contend with, but glare. How much worse would you like to make it? Motocross is not for sissies. Battle for 4th position now, Ferry and Chad Reed. Reed going around the outside and the inside here. He's going to make it.
He just rode right around the outside of Ferry. That was, I don't know if Ferry had a bobble coming into that turn or if he's maybe running out of steam, but yeah, you can see him glancing back. That's usually a pretty good sign that guys are getting a little tired. If you start focusing on what's going on behind you rather than who's ahead of you and where you can go, then usually pooped.
Well, the good news for Chad Reed is now that he has made that pass, he's got a little bit of clear track around him, and it's especially good news because the track is starting to look the way it used to, Aaron Bates.
Well, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier this afternoon, what Unadilla is known for. Take a look at the rocks that are starting to come to the surface on the track during the second moto here. As these guys go by, starting to sift, the rocks are coming to the top. You can only imagine what it feels like following in a 450s roost.
Well, I can tell you what it feels like. If you have your buddy stand right in front of you and shoot you with a potato gun over and over for 40 minutes, that's what it feels like.
Well, it used to be a form of punishment to death, being stoned, having rocks thrown at you until you are dead. Well, we're hopeful that it doesn't quite go that far, as Antonio Balbi gets passed there by the number 27, Nick Way. These two have been going back and forth for a while. Way faded back, now he's heading towards the front again.
Maybe that could be a new form of the death penalty, death by Unadilla stoning.
There you go. It is a penalty, nevertheless. We'll be right back. Our Toyota leaderboard has Balbi in 8th. The 2006 AMA Toyota Motocross Championships have been brought to you by Toyota, proud sponsor of AMA Motocross. Toyota, moving forward. And by Suzuki, lightweight, superior power, incredible handling. It's why champions choose Suzuki. Well, final lap starts for Ricky Carmichael, much as it did in Moto number 1. Big lead, all alone, no challenge, and looking good for a 1-1 double here at Unadilla.
Yeah, he is just absolutely taken off and hidden like Dave Chappelle to Africa.
And Ricky Carmichael, it has been said, of course, that he may not be in a class by himself, but it doesn't take long to call the roll. Only James Stewart and Chad Reed perhaps in the same category as Ricky Carmichael, but as we know, James Stewart not racing and Chad Reed riding injured. That leaves Carmichael in a class by himself. Just loafing around the track now. And enjoying the applause from even the opposing mechanics who have to admire the way this man does his job.
There's a guy who's retired from racing full-time. I know right now, as Ricky's doing his last lap around here, he's kind of saying goodbye to this place, waving to the fans for the last time. I don't think, as one of his least favorite tracks in the circuit, he probably won't include this in his limited schedule next year. Although, he did leave it pretty open-ended in his recent interview he did with DMXS Radio that if he's leading the series after the first several rounds, it's definitely open in his contract that he could finish out the season. So I think while he's alluded that he only wants to do a partial schedule, I think if he's got a good lead and he's feeling good, he may just make a run at another title.
Well, and at this point in his career, being able to choose what he wants to do is a luxury that anyone who employs him is going to have to be able to allow. And Ricky Carmichael wins Moto number 2. On his way to winning Moto number 2. It'll be official here in just a few moments. And what he does in years to come, well, it's subject of a little bit of conjecture, maybe 4 wheels in Ricky Carmichael's future, according to some reports.
There's been talk, of him working with the Joe Gibbs racing team and sort of getting into car racing. He's definitely showed interest in that, and with the right support, like a Joe Gibbs, man, he could definitely be successful. He's got the work ethic and obviously the physical ability.
Well, rumors are that he would start out in the ARCA series, which is sort of the entry level in 4-wheel stock car racing. And we'll see how that goes over the years. Ricky Carmichael has little, if anything, left to prove on 2 wheels in the dirt. So we wish him well in whatever his future endeavors might be. Right now, we're expecting to see him with a little celebration as he crosses the line. Certainly 1-1 in the 2 motos will give him the overall victory. And there it is. Checkered flag for Ricky Carmichael, another overall win at Unadilla, a place that even though he does not care for it particularly well, he does extremely well indeed. Our Suzuki Moto results, Carmichael, Windham, and Millsaps, the top 3. Chad Reed holding on for 4th over Tim Ferry. Balby coming in 10th spot. Dowd carrying the camera up to 11th, and Casey Clark rounding out the top 20. Our Honda highlight. Well, it was a Honda highlight early on as Davey Millsaps and Kevin Windham led Ricky Carmichael in the early going.
I think other than Ricky pretty much dominating the day, you got to be impressed with Davey Millsaps. 2 hole shots, running up front, top 3 all day long, showed a lot of speed. It took Ricky a while to get him the first moto, and Davey wasn't really giving him any room. Ricky had to make the pass happen, so great ride for Millsaps, who's continuing to show improvement in his rookie year.
And for Kevin Windham, who continues to show improvement coming back from injury during the Supercross season. Carmichael taking the win. Here is our overall result. Ricky Carmichael over Kevin Windham with a 3-2, taking Davey Millsaps with his 2-3 finish, the tiebreaker being Moto number 2. Let's hear from the top 3.
Not just 1, but 2 hole shots today. Davey, you were on the gas from the get-go. What made the big difference here this afternoon?
Oh, you know, we've been working a lot on my bike, and you know, it's coming together good. You know, I got tired that last moto. Not really tired, but I got an arm pump, and you know, I'm getting there. I'm working on it. I just want to thank my mom, my mechanic, Honda. I want to say happy birthday to my mom, and wish the best for Freddie Carley, who's in the hospital right now, and you know, just come back fast.
Well, the point standings right now, it's pretty much a runaway for Ricky Carmichael over Chad Reed, who cannot gain any ground as long as he keeps finishing behind Carmichael.
He's got a nice little gap on Kevin and Davey, but those 2 are in a battle for 3rd.
Kevin Windham coming into the halfway point of the season with newfound motivation. Kev, what did you do on your time off? Because whatever it was, it sure worked for you here today.
You know, I actually worked hard that week, and then the off weekend I went down to Destin, Florida, and just hung out on the beach, and need to step back a little bit and just have some fun, you know, relax, and that seemed to work for me really well. I felt strong today. Shame, you know, Bubba wasn't out there, but still I felt strong. I finally was in a position to hang with Ricky for a while, and that's what I needed.
Well, we've already given away that the Racer X hole shot went 2 for 2 to Davey Millsaps on the 118 factory Honda. The youngster getting out in front both motos, being passed by Ricky Carmichael and in Moto 2.
We'll make it 8 victories in total here at Unadilla. In the back of your pants, say it all, Ricky. Last time, it's the last time that you're going to be here. Is it almost a relief that you're not coming back here racing?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to miss the fans. These guys are hardcore. This has such a hysteric meaning to this race, and not going to miss the track, but definitely going to miss the fans. And it was good to me this year, and definitely got to give credit where credit's due. The track was better this year than it's been in a long time. Don't know if it was the rain or what, but the new design was better and the dirt seemed a little better. So I'm going to give credit when the credit's due.
Well, I think what Ricky was trying to say is historic there at Unadilla, but either way, these guys are going to definitely miss him, and I know he's going to miss the fans. Be very interesting to see if next weekend James Stewart can come back and feel healthy enough to race. Hopefully everyone misses him, that's for sure.
Well, Ricky Carmichael is unlikely to pack it in before he takes the title. He's leading the championship right now, and we look forward to more good racing as the series goes to Colorado. For David Pingree and Aaron Bates, I'm Brian.